All right, y'all, it's a little warm. It's not just me, is it? Okay. I'm nervous, okay? I'm just gonna open my Bible and start reading now because we're talking about my top 5 most favorite horror movies ever, and among those are probably the scariest experiences of my life. Okay, let's get started. What's going on, you guys? James here, and today, yes, we're talking about my 5 most favorite horror movies of all time that I've ever seen, because there are a lot of horror movies that I haven't seen because I'm kind of a chicken. And if you know me, I am a scaredy cat, okay? Just gonna put it out there, all right? I'm a little kid when it comes to horror movies. I still do this a little bit, but now that we're social distancing and COVID-19, I'm like 6 feet away. Covering my eyes. But before we get started talking about my top 5, if this is your first time here at the channel, welcome to Real James. Now, if you don't know who that is, that's me. And I love talking all about movies. So each and every day I go ahead and drop new content for you guys. You're not gonna wanna miss out. Go ahead and hit the big red button below and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to tap on that little bell right next to it. It's over here, sorry. Just to stay up to date with anything new. Now, what's great is we just celebrated a huge milestone at the channel, 900 subscribers. But now we're past that. So we're really close to 1,000. That's beautiful. I thank you guys so much. I love each and every one of you for your support, for any comment you leave, good or bad. But you all are just so amazing, and I'm thankful that we get to do this journey together. Of course, your boy just upgraded his equipment a little bit, not the camera, not the microphone. Although, wait, we are gonna start using this microphone a little bit more now. Live streams are coming, guys. Just get all the little things sorted, and I can't wait to do that and just talk with you guys in real time. It's going to be so much fun. Alrighty, if you missed out on what we've been doing at the channel, I've dropped some awesome videos, like my Tiger King review, Batman vs. Superman discussion with one of my buddies, Chris, and there's been a lot of fun content, not a lot of sour news like delays and everything, because guess what? That's gonna happen, right? And it's kind of slowed down. But we have Trolls World Tour hitting theaters, not even theaters, sorry, hitting video on demand this weekend. Theaters, man, I miss theaters so much. But we're gonna be safe and we're gonna get out of this. So as long as we're in quarantine, I'm dropping videos about what you can watch on streaming networks, and we're gonna talk about my top 5s, top 10s. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Okay, now that I got that out of my system, let's go ahead and talk about my top 5 horror movies of all time. It's gonna be a fun one. And we might as well start with number 5. I don't have like an honorable mentions list, maybe because I just really didn't think about doing one, but your boys got 5 good ones too. So number 5 is a very interesting film. It's one that caught me totally off guard because I had no expectations going in, and I left saying this might be the best movie of the year. So, without further ado, number 5, Get Out, directed and written by Jordan Peele. A film that is absolutely incredible. It is one of the most inventive, clever, unique horror movies that I have ever seen. Before Get Out, I knew Jordan Peele as a funny man, right? Key and Peele, great sketch comedy show. Like, you understood he's got the knack for humor, but does he have it for horror? So when I watched Get Out, there was a great mix of both funny jokes and some, of course, jokes that might have gotten a certain part of the population here in the United States angry. But you know what? I'm so glad Jordan Peele spoke on it. And it definitely dealt with racism in this country and colorism and all that nonsense. And honestly, he did it in such a great way, and he got his message across, sometimes on the nose, but most times under the surface. The characters are great. Daniel Kaluuya, this is the first film I've actually seen him in, Let's Get Out, and he brought it. And ever since then, he's starting to grow into a household name, and I love it. Absolutely love it. So yes, Get Out is number 5, and man, so worth every minute spent in the theater. The amount of laughs, the amount of gasps, and the reactions made it so much more worth it. And then watching it at home, I was like, yeah, this movie's great. Also, that third act was, if you have a weak stomach. Yeah, I'm just thinking about it. Sorry, it's messing with my head. You get it? Okay, we're moving on. Number 4, 1979's Alien, directed by Ridley Scott and written by Dan O'Bannon. And let me tell you guys, Alien is a film that is definitely sticking with me even to this day, and that's because I saw it, growing up. I was maybe in my teens, like late teens, that I saw this movie. A lot of people ask me why didn't I watch it before then, and that's not because I wasn't allowed, it's because I didn't want to. I used to go to Disney a lot with my family as a kid, right? There was this ride in Tomorrowland called Alien Encounter, and it was so terrifying and definitely not on brand for I mean, compared to the rest of the park, I mean, everything was so cheery, and then you get to Alien Encounter, and you probably wet your pants. Yeah, it was really scary. And as a kid, I wanted to ride that over and over again, so much so that I bought an action figure that I would take with me to the Continental Breakfast, the character breakfast, and just like play around with it and show everybody my toy. And eventually I grew out of it, of course. The thing is, the movie, when I saw the trailers for it as a kid, scared me a little bit more than the actual ride. And that's because in the ride, I understood, sure, you know, this is kind of fake. It's not real, right? But then you watch the movie, it's like you're trapped. You have to keep your eyes on the screen for an hour and 40 just watching this amazing horror movie play out. And yes, most people will consider this more sci-fi, but for me, it was incredibly scary because I felt claustrophobic while I was watching this film. The way Ridley Scott directs this movie sets a new standard for sci-fi and horror movies. Now, there's probably a discussion to be had about the other Aliens movies. They're okay. I mean, the second one's not bad. I remember the third not really being that great. And Alien vs. Predator is like a guilty pleasure film for me, but what's really great is that there's a consistency in terms of the writer and the writing in a sense, because Dan O'Bannon actually went and developed a lot of the screenplays for these films and worked with other screenwriters. So yeah, Alien, let's just say it hits you right in the gut, or pops out of your gut. Isn't that gross, that one scene, you know, that like an alien comes out, you can't even see it, but it's like, you know, when it comes out of the stomach, and it's nuts. I didn't have to get up and show you that, did I? Okay, so we're getting into my top 3 horror movies of all time. Number 3, and you guys, this was a tough top 3, because I was throwing in titles, I was taking titles out, I was switching up the order, and eventually I came to the best top 3 that I could develop. And it sucks because you can switch the orders of this and they'd be just fine, and a lot of you probably won't agree with my number 1, to be honest. But number 3, The Shining. Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, based on the Stephen King novel. And wow, I didn't read the novel, but if it's anything like the movie, or actually if it's even a sliver of what the movie is, it's probably crazy, because as we know, Stephen King is very unique the way he thinks about things, and that's a very kind way of saying it. But this movie terrified me. I actually saw this my freshman year of college, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I didn't really sleep that night. Actually, I didn't sleep at all. I kept having dreams that I was in a house with Jack Torrance, Wendy Torrance, and the Torrance family, and I didn't understand how to get out of this dream, and okay, it was a nightmare. Yes, I guess I've had only like 2 or 3 nightmares in my life, and this is it. And let me tell you guys, the way that this movie is paced is something so beautiful, because it just crescendos at a certain point, and then when you expect the action to come down a little bit, I don't know what it is, but I feel like that was where it almost thrived, because as I'm starting to relax, my body still, some part of it was like, you better be careful. Boy, Jack is around that corner, you know, it's still gonna happen. So the entire way through, I literally was on the edge of my seat. And I can't say that for most movies. And of course, huge credit goes to Jack Nicholson as Jack Torrance, the famous "Here's Johnny" scene. You know, I'm not gonna try my best "Here's Johnny," but it was iconic. You know, it's one of those horror movies that sticks with you, but not because of that scene, it's just because of what it made me feel. And then you have Shelley Duvall as Wendy Torrance, who did an amazing job, and I don't think too many people give her the credit she deserves. The way she acted in this film, the pure terror on her face was just out of this world, and I really do believe The Shining is not only a classic film because of the "Here's Johnny" scene, but it is going to be, and it will always be, one of my favorite horror movies of all time. At one point, it was actually my favorite horror movie, but of course I started seeing more movies and I grew up, and you know, the order changes. So let's move on to number 2. As funny as it sounds, I've always said that this is my favorite horror trilogy, and I never actually gave any of the films their fair shake, because I would always group all 3 of them together. Now, that's not to say that this director hasn't gone on to do better movies. Now remember, this is my favorite horror films that I've ever seen, right? So I'm going to go with, and I'm so confident with this pick, Evil Dead 2, directed by Sam Raimi. Now, this movie was released in the late 80s, in 1987, and even for that time, I think that the filmmaking was so different. Not many people really could master that long one-shot through the forest that Sam Raimi is so well known for in these films, and not a lot of people got away with slapstick humor in horror movies like Sam Raimi did. The way he wrote the script, and of course it helps that he had a Bruce Campbell in his prime. Literally, Bruce Campbell is not only just a cult hero, this dude is one of the best actors. I love him so much, and if I could just shake his hand one day, I would, of course, when Rona leaves. But Evil Dead 2 is one of those films that I watched the first movie of, and then I immediately binged 2 and 3. 3 being Army of Darkness, and if you haven't seen this trilogy, I really recommend it. And for a little while, I thought that Evil Dead, the first film, was much better than the second and third, but I went back, gave them their fair shake, with a day of rest in between so things don't just kind of muddle in. And Evil Dead 2 is more fun than the original. And not just because it's more gory and because of the slapstick humor, it just feels like Sam Raimi hits his stride in Evil Dead 2. And then from that point on, it's like, yo, the dude is untouchable. When you get him behind a camera, he can't be stopped. And I love it so much. And you guys, we have now arrived to number 1 on my top 5 horror movies of all time. And a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this one, but I'm choosing Tom Hooper's Cats. The film itself is just such a mess. Oh, please. You thought I was going to really choose Cats? Of course not, guys. This whole list is not a joke. This is serious business. All right, number 1, Hereditary, directed by Ari Aster. Now, in 2018, I considered myself not a scaredy cat anymore. I wasn't using my hands to cover my face. I was like sitting strong in these horror movies, thinking to myself, yeah, I'm not gonna get scared. Jump scares? Okay, who needs them, right? Wrong. Because even though there were no jump scares in Hereditary, maybe there were a couple, psychologically, this movie messed with my brain, my psyche, my attitude. I was scared, okay? I was walking to my car after the press screening, and I was checking every corner, okay? And it smelled terrible, but I had to do it because I was afraid that little girl, or Toni Collette, or whatever the heck that was at the end there, was gonna be in the back seat, okay? So what did I do? I went in the car and I just started praying, got my Bible, I said, not today, demons, because I ain't playing with you. Alrighty, now that I got that out of my system, let's talk about the film itself, which was both written and directed by Ari Aster, and it is one of the earlier A24 horror films that actually made it really big, and I think this changed the landscape for not only A24, but for horror movies in general. Ari Aster sets a bar that's so high because of this film's quality. Not only the writing, or not even just the directing, it's the acting as well. Toni Collette fits this mold perfectly. Her face, just all the emotion, and her performance is actually one of the better performances that I've seen in the 21st century. The problem is, she's not going to get the recognition she deserves by these big award companies or award groups or whatever you want to call them because horror. And that is awful. This genre deserves a little bit more love, or a lot more love, and Toni Collette is definitely one of the better actors in Hollywood working today, and in Hereditary was fantastic. I wouldn't describe Hereditary as just simply scary. It's very unsettling, and I think that's a definition in and of itself, because it upset my stomach. It made me, kind of feel trapped. While I was watching the film, I was white-knuckling the seat the whole time, and I had a bottle of water. Let me show you. I had a bottle of water, not like this, but it was a Zephyr Hills bottle, and I was gripping it so tight in the scene where Charlie, I think her name is, sticks her head out the window, and if you haven't seen that movie, guys, go see Hereditary, okay? And when that part happens, and I just lost my head, get it? I almost threw my water bottle back, and thank God the cap was on because I would have been Slash Mountain for everyone in the row behind me. It was terrifying, very unexpected, and the way Ari Aster develops the story is masterful. He's a great horror director. The problem is, Midsommar not only did it not live up to the hype of what Hereditary brought to the table, but I think it was a step down for Ari Aster. So I'm looking forward to his junior film because his freshman approach, amazing. His sophomore entry into the horror genre, not so good. And I just think Hereditary is worthy of the number 1 because it's stuck with me still to this day, and I actually haven't watched the movie a second time. I'm not lying to you guys, because I won't sit down and watch that movie again. It not only messes with you, like I keep saying, it just unsettles the rest of your day. Now, that's not to say I'm not strong. I got God on my side. I can't complain, but it was a little scary, y'all. All right? And I wouldn't even watch that in daylight. I ain't sitting through that. You got me messed up. Alrighty, you guys, so there you have it. My top 5 horror movies of all time. Of course, you guys, I know you love when I watch horror movies because I am a chicken, okay? I ain't Chicken Little, though, right? I've grown up. The thing is, there are some movies that I don't know if I necessarily want to sit down and watch at home because I get a little scared. I will sit down and commit to more horror movies for you guys because I know you love it, right? With Hereditary, It Chapter 2. I need to watch The Platform on Netflix. You know, I got some buddies that have told me I need to go ahead and give this movie a watch, and I will. But they also told me not to eat before it. I don't know what that means, guys. So I'll get to that, and I'll continue to drop new content. I have a couple more ideas that I want to do for the rest of this week, so stay tuned to the channel, and if you loved everything you heard and saw, go ahead and hit the big red button below and consider subscribing to the channel. Don't forget to tap on the notification bell right next to it just to stay up to date so you don't miss any of the videos that I just mentioned. And if you haven't already, like this video, share with your friends, and in the comments below, let me know which of the 5 movies that I listed would you consider to be the scariest film that you've seen. If you haven't seen any of them, you need to get on all 5 of those. They're worth your time. Alrighty guys, again, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next screening. Boy, I ain't playing with these ghosts or whatever the heck they are. I'm not playing with them. Y'all heard that creak, right? That was not, okay, I'm just getting paranoid.